All right. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Phil. Hopefully, you can hear me. We're live on site at Life Chiropractic College West. I've been up here today talking with students about our legislative conference coming up. So, having to do double duty today, live stream broadcast with Dr. Ty Talcott here today. But it's super cool that I have the opportunity to be in the main boardroom with a picture of Dr. Sid Williams behind me. That's one of my idols, icons that I've known throughout my life. So, quick announcement before we get started with Ty. Just want you to know that we're going to be at the Capitol March 25th. Tiffany will put the link in the chat for you if you haven't had a chance to register for that event. Looking forward to going up to the Capitol, really standing up for chiropractic. We got a significant legislative agenda that I'll share with you more about next week. But I want to bring our guest on before things get too far down the road. All right, there he is, Dr. Ty Talcott. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Sounds like you're a busy guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Looking forward to getting to know you a little bit more and just understanding more about what you're doing. You know, we had the opportunity to meet at the Chiro Congress, really, and I've heard your name a lot of different times as really an expert in this field. So I know this content is important to people out there in the field. I know that you're going to bring some good information for them today, but why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and your company?
Well, basically, I started out as a practicing chiropractor, obviously, and was in practice for quite some time. In fact, I arguably had the first $1 million chiropractic practice. This was many decades ago when pterodactyls flew the earth and the brontosauruses, rode planes. Today, that's not such a big accomplishment, but back then nobody'd heard of such a thing. And we ultimately got to the place where we were seeing about 200 patients a day. And the reason I say that is that I understand fully what a pain in the butt government compliance is and having to do these things. I didn't go to school for that. I went to school to work with chiropractic miracles just like you did and have fun, healing the world. And, but as I went down that road, I really felt that as a chiropractor, I've got a duty. And we've got a treatment available that nobody else can do. And if we're not performing that, then we've got a problem in the sense that people can't get it anywhere else.
Sure.
There's not another kind of doctor they can go to and get what we do. So early on, I decided that as a chiropractor, we've got a duty. And our duty is to help as many people as we can. And so there came a time in my practice where we were helping thousands and thousands of people, and it was very gratifying. It was a lot of fun. But I finally realized that if I actually stepped out of that role and started helping other chiropractors know how to help another 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 100,000 people in their practice lifetime, then I could start impacting millions of people's lives. And so I did that after 20 years in private practice. I started assisting, and I still to this day do have a company where I do assist chiropractors. I'm a personal mentor to them to build practices. I don't usually take new people in that group. It's a small, tight-knit group, been around for 20 years. Most of them been with me the whole time. If somebody dies or retires, I replace them, and that's about it. But out of that, and that work that I had ongoing doing, I find the things that doctors hate to do, but have to do. Things like government compliance, HIPAA, things in the world of Medicare, these type of things. And what I do is I build people's programs for them if they need that help so that they can focus on taking care of patients. And my basic business concept has been that I teach and train CE hours, license renewal credits, for associations. In fact, I teach for 48 state associations and 6 colleges presently. And I do about 30 presentations a year around the country, helping people understand what they need to do, supplying their CE credits for them, doing that for the associations at no charge, so it doesn't take away from the membership dues to do the things you need to do in the Capitol and those type of things. Because there's so many people that actually want my service that I can come and do and help out, get on podcasts and do webinars and do all that kind of stuff. In fact, I'm going to be live right there in California, April, let me look. April
I was going to say, I know you're going to be coming out here soon. What was the date?
April 16 and April 17. April 16, I believe it's San Mateo, and
Okay.
April 17 is San Francisco. If I got
Excellent.
that wrong, they're flipped the other way around. But I'll be doing, it's just a 2 hour. I usually want at least 4 hours. 6 is even better. There's so much material to cover. It'll only be 2 hours, but it'll be like drinking from a fire hose. But we're going to get a lot done. And it'll be nice to be there live in California, meet a lot of you folks, and be able to hopefully help you either with information. And by the way, for people who don't use my service, I do give access to hundreds of white papers and webinars on different topics I've done. You have all that for free. You want to try to build your own program, do your own thing, I'll give you all that access for free. You want me to do it for you? Well, I got to charge a little bit of money for that.
Sure.
But most people just never accomplish it on their own. And you got to understand, it's what you don't know that you don't know that's what gets you in trouble.
Absolutely.
Almost everybody that I end up defending to the federal government and trying to get them out of fines, they didn't even know they were doing anything wrong
Right.
with what they were ultimately finally accused of, or a complaint was filed or whatever.
Sure.
At least 90% of the time, they don't even know they did anything wrong. So it's what you don't know that you don't know that gets you in trouble.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the kind of main HIPAA complaints, concerns that people should be, keeping their eyes open for.
Well, right now, we've got an issue that's going to be a little bit critical if we don't get it figured out. And that issue is this. People now are saying, well, I'm going to wait a little bit and see, because the new administration, there's going to be probably new rules, some things that were in place are probably going to be gone, this, that, and the other. This is the most critical time to take action and get your basics in place. You see, there's a thing called having a defensible position. You can't ever be 100% compliant. Even the investigators sometimes don't agree on something, whether it's fully compliant or not. So you're not going to be 100% compliant. What you have to be is defensible. And what that means is, if I say represent a chiropractor to the government, I'm not an attorney. Okay.
Right.
So I use that loosely. What I mean is, you get in trouble, you call me, and then I walk you through exactly what to do, what to say, what not to say, especially, and try to keep you out of trouble and get you out of fines. And so far, since 2010, when I started doing this, we've gotten everybody out of trouble without any fines. The difference is, if we have a defensible position when we start that process, and as you get accused of something, but we can show we have a good faith, written, documented effort for every piece, every single regulation under HIPAA or whatever law it is, not some of them, not part of them, that's not good faith, all of them, then usually I've got you out of trouble within a week or less with no cost. However, if you're not defensible, and I take you on to do that, which I take everybody on, because I'm going to get chiropractors out of trouble if I can.
Yeah.
I take everybody on. The people I take on who are non-defensible, here's the difference. 12 to 18 months, not knowing the whole time if you're going to be put out of business, because the starting fines are $71,000 plus. That's the minimum willful neglect fine. You don't know that whole time what's going to happen, and neither do I. And the cost is usually between 20 to 80 grand to get you out of fines. That's almost as big as the fines.
Yeah.
And that's not coming to me. That's because the government requires certain things to be done so rapidly. We have to hire experts to do it, but it's a mess, a total mess. We're the practice of prevention. Okay. This is a place to prevent the problems. I promise you. It's not that expensive. It seems very complex, but it's not that hard, especially if I help you do it, of course. It's not that hard to do. And it prevents things that can be devastating. In fact, ransomware attacks, which is a form of cyber attack where someone gets the data from your computer and then holds that data for ransom until you pay. You don't have any data. You can't access anything in your practice. That problem on average costs $155,000 to solve. I've worked with chiropractors that it costs as much as $500,000. And big medical facilities, it can cost millions of dollars to solve that problem. What does that mean? It means that problem actually puts some people out of business forever.
I bet.
It's beyond how bad HIPAA and compliance can be, is actually the result of what can happen to you if you're not compliant. Because if you're compliant, that can't happen to you. So not only do you have the problem of ransomware attack or a cyber attack, if you get attacked successfully, it's also an automatic HIPAA fine. Because if you had a HIPAA program in place and we're following your own rules, it can't happen. They can't be successful at it. And so the biggest thing for years, no matter who the administration is, if you do not have a risk analysis and have created what's called a mitigation of risk plan to mitigate those things you found as risks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you are not performing what are called ICERs, Information System Activity Review, which is a review that you do of your electronic devices, especially your computers, that store patient information.
Okay.
If you're not doing those correctly, you don't even know if someone right now is stealing information out of your computer without you knowing it. So the government basically says, see, the problem when you get in trouble is usually not what you did. Whatever you did, again, most of the time you didn't even know you did something wrong.
Right. Yeah.
What happens is someone asks a question or files a complaint. That starts an official investigation by law. Now what they do is they come to you, and when I'm there live, I will show you the actual document the government sends to, well, at least the last 12 people I've defended. It's the same document.
Sure.
And what they demand you produce to them is basically the same. And at the top of that list is going to be a risk analysis and ICERs. If you don't have those, if you can't prove to them that you've done those, then what they say is, with no risk analysis, how are you doing HIPAA to protect patient information if you never evaluate risk? And then they say, and you're supposed to protect that data. How can you say you're protecting it if you're not even looking to see if someone's stealing your data?
Sure.
So you're not practicing HIPAA at all, no matter what else you've got done. No matter, you get 1,000 pages of other stuff you've done. You don't have those two things to produce. They're going to immediately go and try to hit you with a willful neglect fine, which is the $71,253 or whatever the change is on it right now. So people get in trouble for all kinds of crazy, weird things. But what they really get in trouble for is they can't produce to the government what they demand they prove that they've done to try to prevent whatever it was that happened. But you want me to tell you a couple funny stories?
Well, I wanted you, before we get into stories, we could definitely do stories. I wanted you to just touch on, give me like the top 3 things you think that any new practitioner should be doing, and then any existing practitioner should be doing right now to kind of audit their HIPAA systems, or, even implement their HIPAA systems, let's say.
Difficult to do because you need a full, complete, documented HIPAA program. Then you've got the No Surprises Act, which they're starting to enforce. You need a program for that. You need a program for OSHA, which they might eliminate. They're talking about eliminating OSHA, but that won't eliminate workplace safety. It'll just be taken over by another department. Also, it'll be the Department of Interior or whatever. So you've got No Surprises Act, you've got OSHA, you've got HIPAA compliance, you've got the ONC 21st Century Cures Act, which has to do with how you transfer patients' information if they request it. It moved to number 1 complaint against doctors from patients is they dragged their feet when I needed my information transferred to another doctor or somewhere I asked for my information to go. And it's a big fat fine for that. And they're enforcing it for the last year especially. And it took over a while back as number 1 complaint.
Unbelievable.
The biggest problem are the ransomware attacks and cyber attacks as far as the cost in shutting down offices. So you need to, one of the things that I can supply for people that has no cost to it is for them to be on what's called my alert list.
Oh, excellent.
And so what you want to do, you're talking about a new practitioner or whatever, you need to be plugged in somewhere. You need to be somewhere that you're getting information. In fact, right before, pardon?
They need to be plugged into CalChiro. That's why we're.
Yes, because this is where they get a piece of information like that piece of information that leads to the next piece of information. And the networking of information is what is so critical. And so literally a half hour before this, what we're doing right here, right now, I just got done with my monthly alert list webinar, where the people who are on the alert list, and I was updating them on what was predicted in 2024 that actually occurred, which was almost 100% of my predictions and the other experts in the field, combined predictions.
Sure.
And what the predictions are for 2025. and our anticipation that they will also be 100% correct by the end of the year. But I was getting everybody a heads up and caught up. What's coming? What do you need to be looking for? What do you need to start to prepare for? So you need to be plugged in somewhere where there's that source of information. Also through that alert list, of course, we promote when those webinars are going to occur and what the content is. We also, that's where you get access to the free white papers, the webinars, all of that stuff. So I guess we'll get some contact information out to people later about me or how to get a hold of me or whatever.
Yeah.
But all they have to do is email me or call me and just say, here's the email address I'd like you to put on your alert list. It's free. There's no charge for it. And then they'll be at least plugged in where they're getting information. It's going to be overwhelming, to an extent. Okay.
Sure.
But you'll be getting it at least, and you can sort through the pieces. And of course we can help you if you want us to help.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that, because I wanted you to talk about some of those resources that you have available for people and ways, that they can access some of that information that you touched on in the beginning. Is there anything else, that...
When you get into the world of charges, of course, we've got things that we do on a routine basis. We've got a do-it-yourself kit that someone can purchase, and it's got some templates in it. It's got some training in it. It walks you through what you have to do to create. It's about a 300 to 800 page manual that the typical chiropractor needs as a starting manual.
Okay.
That's to cover the basics.
Boilerplate language, right? A lot of boilerplate, that kind of stuff.
Some of it is, but some of it we just have to teach you and train you because it has to be, the law even states specifically, it has to be customized to your office or it is and does not meet the requirements. So what happens is some of it we can do templates and you can sort of fill in some blanks.
Right.
But a lot of it, we have to train you what needs to be done so that you can then author or create that part. Then you have to be able to train and document your training to your staff. You have to do that risk analysis. There's a lot of components. So personally, I don't even recommend my kit anymore, my do-it-yourself kit, because it still takes about 20 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And people go, okay, well, I can do an hour here, hour there. I'll get it done. It never gets, like 80% of the people who purchase the kit call us within 60 days and say, just do it for me, because you just keep kicking the can down the road. Because as soon as you start on it, well, now we had 2 extra new patients today. Then you start tomorrow, you're going to do a little bit. Oh, now we got to get that insurance filed on those 2 extra new patients that came in. And you keep kicking and you give it to your staff to do, and they do it part of it, but they can't do part of it. It works well. It's a great program. It's just that most people will not have the tenacity to follow through. So the program that we use the most is called our hands-off program.
Okay.
And what we do on that program is through 2 sets of questionnaires. It's a lot of questions. It is a lot of questions, but we send you 2 sets of questionnaires to cut to the chase. You answer those. Once you're the accelerator, you're the brake. Once we get the answers, if it takes you a day, we're rocking and rolling. If it takes you 6 months, well, it's not because it took that long. It's because you postponed it. But you answer the questions. We then take that information, which is all the personal information about you in the office and the practice, and we construct and write and author that book for you. Okay. Then we deliver that hard copy. You want a hard copy. Just trust me right now. You want a hard copy. But we also deliver to you the electronic file it was printed from. What that means is you own all your data. It's a one-time expense. You pay us once. We deliver it done and you own it. Now, I'm going to contrast that to a company, which I won't say any names, and I don't usually talk about people who try to help. I just like they help. But there's a company out there that charges $400 a month forever.
Oh my goodness.
To build your program and keep it current. And they brag about how we're an online company. You go online and you enter your data. Where do you enter your data? Into their servers. Right. They own your data. And if you ever go, I don't want to do this anymore, it's costing me $5,000 a year for a HIPAA compliance program, and you want to quit, well, you get to start over because they own your data. So I think that's a little reprehensible. And so that's why I mention it. But the point being, there are 11 evaluations, reviews, and actual audits, internal audits you have to do every year for your HIPAA program to be current. They have to be written, signed, documented. There's 11 of them in the typical office every year. If you don't, your program's not current. Here's the problem. If you put a program in place by the law tells you what things you have to do, review, evaluate every year. Then if you don't do them, you now fall into the category called willful neglect, that which the doctor knew or should have known and did not do. That minimum fine is $71,000 and change. Okay. So the point being, we can implement, install, I don't mean on a computer, I mean build your policies, your trainings, everything you need. We can do that and deliver it to you for one fee. Then anytime the law changes, anytime there's major updates, you get all that for free in the future. It'll never cost you another dime. So the program doesn't get old or go out of vogue. Now, with the caveat that when we deliver that, we teach you what to do to keep those 11 things current.
Okay.
We also have a program where we keep them current for you. That's a separate charge. That program is called MMM, Mandatory Monthly Maintenance Program. Keeps everything current. Now, if you want us to do that, you're going to have to, mortgage the house, sell the firstborn, because that costs $29 a month.
Oh, yes.
So, and there's no contract. So what we do is we build the program, has a charge to build the program. We then give you 2 months of the MMM for free to see what we do for that $29. Then if you want to do it on your own, you have the training and the material to do it on your own. You'll never spend another dime if you don't want to. If you want us to do it, then it's the $29 a month. Quit anytime you want to. There's no contract. Why do we do it that way? Well, because to date, we've never had anyone quit. Now, some people decide to do it on their own, and that's fine. They've got a big, experienced staff, and they want to take it on. But if the people who pay that first $29 and they see what we do, of course, they see that from the free months we give them. But when you see what we do, you realize there's no way I could do it, no way I will do it, especially not for $29. And the only people we ever have leave that program either die or retire. And literally, that's the only people who've ever left that program once they started. So it's a very popular program. It's very inexpensive.
Sure.
It costs a little money to get that first piece in place, but there's no ongoing charges for that, like some of these other companies are crazy. So when you ask, what do I really recommend to people? I know how self-serving it sounds, but what I recommend is you let us build you a program and keep you current, because I'm going to tell you, but you've got access to all the white papers and webinars if you want to do it on your own. But we work on this every day and can hardly stay on top of it. The Trump administration this week just issued their first HIPAA fine, $1.5 million. Now, I've had people for the last month saying, well, I'm not sure they're going to issue fines anymore. I'm not sure Trump will do that. He doesn't like regulations. We know exactly what Trump did in his last administration. And what he did was he took steps to simplify the regulations to make it where instead of 1,700 pages of law to read to understand it, to get it simplified where someone can read and understand. However, what he also did was, in doing that, identified several key issues like the risk analysis, the ICERs, the policies, the standardized policy parts that were crucial to protect against cyber attacks, hacking. Think about the government. They're freaked out about the Pentagon being hacked, IRS being hacked. This is critical stuff. And so what's happened is they're actually more enforcing the critical stuff, and they're easing off on a lot of the ancillary garbagey stuff. It's simplifying some, making some better in some ways, but the parts that they've identified as critical, they're even stronger. So they proved this week they're going to enforce HIPAA. You can't say, well, I'll wait and see if they're going to enforce. They're going to. They proved this week at 1.5 million on the fine. They're going to issue big fines if they got big problems. So we can't say, well, we don't know if they're going to fine anymore. And the person they issued the fine against was not a doctor or a healthcare facility. It was what's called a business associate. So we're a healthcare provider. We're under HIPAA. Well, if we give our information to a billing company let's say, and we give them some information. Well, they're not a doctor, but they're now under HIPAA because they become what's called a business associate.
Sure.
Well, there was some, well, are they going to still go after business associates? This 1.5 million was against a business associate, not against a doctor.
Wow.
So now they've proven, yes, they're going to continue to do those parts of HIPAA. They're going to continue to enforce the things that are truly important, and they're going to do it at a high level. So there's no, well, I think maybe there'll be 20 changes, so I'll wait a while to do the program. You can't update and change something you don't have.
Well, you've definitely shared with us a lot of great information. We got to give away some money here. So I know that's always the exciting part, but tell people how they connect with you. And Tiffany can probably put the information in the chat a little bit as well. So just tell us how we connect with you.
Okay, let me give you the two easiest ways. My cell phone, 469-371-8804. So that's 469-371-8804.
Okay.
Now, probably the easiest and best, and the only reason I say this is because it may take 24 hours or 48 hours for me to call you back because I'm on airplanes going everywhere teaching HIPAA all over the world.
Sure.
Right? Or over the country. It's easier probably by email because I have a rule. I don't go to bed at night till I've answered all my emails. Now, it might just be an answer saying, I'll work on it tomorrow.
My wife will kill me if I institute that rule. So I'm not doing that.
You know what? I had to, because when you get in trouble and you're freaked out and panicked and you think you have to make a response or say something, and you don't want to say or do the wrong thing, and you want to get to me first, which I beat in your head to do, then you don't want to be waiting 3 days to hear from me.
Sure.
Okay. So I make sure that I check everything, and that email is very easy. It's my name with a dot in it. So it's Ty, T-Y, dot, Talcott, Talcott, 2 T's at the end, at gmail.com. So let me repeat that one more time. Phone number 469-371-8804. And the email is Ty, T-Y, dot, Talcott, Talcott, at gmail.com. And all you have to do if you email is just say, Ty, send me some information. I mean, if you want to explain to me something you're afraid of or going on in your office or whatever, we'll get on the phone, we'll talk it through, we'll email back and forth. But if, well, I'm not sure what I'd say to him if I send an email, just say, send me some information. And I'll send you information on our programs and how to access all the free information as well.
Well, I've really learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to your presentations coming up. I want to give Tiffany a chance to bring up the randomizer because we got to give away some money here today too. But I really appreciate your time, Ty. You've done a great job informing us, and like I've seen so much before already. How much you've helped us in that regard. So we are going to draw some names here for the $300 today. So hopefully you can stick around with us. Remember, to win the money, you have to be a member. You have to be on the broadcast. So this is like when you let your friends know to log on in case their name gets picked. Your name has to be picked by the randomizer, and you have to chime in on the chat within 30 seconds. And so once again, thank you so much for being here. Want to remind you guys about our upcoming legislative conference, March 25th. Really hope you can join us for that. It's going to be a great event. We'll have more information next week about what we're going to be lobbying for and the things that we're advocating for. But thanks again, Ty, for being here. Let's go ahead and, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and draw the first name. Go ahead, Tiffany. All right. I'm trying to see if I can read that name. Can you read that name right there, Ty?
Wow. I don't know if I can pronounce it. It looks like Kwang Yuan Di Dao. Okay,
thank you, sir, for helping me out with that one because that was a tough one. I put you on the spot right there. You have 7 seconds. We're going to be drawing 3 names today. I got some of my faithful listeners here today. I'm thankful. You know, Dr. Makani Lou, she won that prize to Cabo 2 weeks ago. Here's name number 2. Go ahead, Ty. Can you read the next one?
I believe that says Mark Mashik or Mashike.
All right. Good job. Good job. Thank you, sir. Mark, you have 30 seconds to claim your prize. We are, this has been a lot of fun. You know, we're really enjoying doing these live broadcasts. We thank you for your support. Tell us the name of your company real quick again, one more time.
My company, you can just remember it this way. It's Dr. Ty the Compliance Guy.com.
I love it.
At the front for Dr. Dr. Ty the Compliance Guy.com.
Excellent. Let's draw a third name, Tiffany. One more time. Can you read that for us, Ty?
I keep switching glasses. I'm trying.
Okay.
Brian Garnett.
Brian Garnett, you are our third winner. Let's see if you're here to claim your prize today. Oh, good. Well, you see Dr. Marissa's here. That's awesome. Dr. McConney, thanks for being on again. Dr. Lundquist. Dr. Lundquist is going to be one of our presenters at our pediatric symposium coming up May 31st. Just inked the deal on that. I don't know if Brian's here today to collect his money, but that means good news for everybody else because next week we'll be giving away $400 on the broadcast. Thanks again, Ty, for being with us so much. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you when you come out to San Francisco and San Francisco.